Good evening. Welcome to the March 4th Abington Finance Committee meeting. We are continuing to work on the FY27 budget. Our agenda for tonight, we'll get an update from the town manager, town accountant, and we will meet with the school department. We have our school department here with us. We're very happy to see them.
Thank you.
And then we will go through our standard business of liaison reports, correspondence, reviewing minutes, and discussing our next meeting. So let's kick it off with...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We continue to plug away at the budget. Last night I had the pleasure of going to the school committee, doing a budget presentation and answering questions for the school committee and some residents that were there, and watched the great presentation by the superintendent. I stayed for that. Andrew and I and Lindsay are looking at getting the warrant all put together as we continue to move forward. And then I'm on the agenda for next week to do a presentation of the budget for the FinCom.
I didn't see a handout this week. Do we have an update on where we stand, level funded, level service?
There's been no major updates since. We're still compiling capital requests. Just received waters today. Golf is still outstanding. I believe Rainey's on vacation. We're at a conference actually now, and he'll be back next week for that. But those are all funded through enterprise retainer.
Enterprise
That
accounts.
won't affect the rest of the budget.
And we have a request from the audience to speak up, which we will do. Welcome. Good to see you. Any further updates?
I do have part of the budget process is to value the unemployment portion of any cuts that we have to do. And I did put together a model for that. And I just need to run the list of people through it to come up with a unemployment reserve for the budget.
So something you're working on?
Yeah, so a bit in the weeds, but this is a really quick actuarial model. I took BLS data. Basically, they have a snapshot in time of if you take a random unemployment claim, how long has that claim been in effect? So I got the percentages for that as of December 2025 and broke it out by duration. So each of these buckets, we can calculate, if it were less than 5 weeks, how much exposure do we have?
Mm-hmm.
And then we take that exposure, multiply it by the percentage of the number of claims in that bucket to come up with a more realistic expectation of what the unemployment cost will actually be. So it's not going to be the full yearly benefit. Hopefully it's something less than that.
Which is like 300 and
Yeah, so the max benefit is $33,150.
30 for each person. That's
Right.
the max.
That's the max,
Yeah.
period. So I just need to run the list of people through this model and come up with the reserve that we need.
For those watching at home or in the audience, where do we stand currently, ballpark, obviously, of cuts in level funded and level service?
I believe for the school department's about 30-ish positions. For police,
For level service,
for level funded.
level funded.
For police, what I want to say 10-ish.
Some offices and some administrative, so about 5 potential offices,
There's some
4
part-time.
administrative.
Yeah, there's some part-timers in there as well.
I think the other night it was 4 administrators, 2 part-time, and 6 officers. So that may have
That
changed.
sounds right,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. Not 4 administrators. There's not 4 administrators. 4 administrative type positions. currently handled by civilians.
Public records people, evidence person.
Gun
Yeah, but the gun, yeah. And one other
permits
person,
and
And are those the only departments that are looking at cuts?
Yes.
Okay.
Why?
We
Why,
were-
why are they the only departments that are cuts?
Other departments were able to make cuts in other places to cover any salary increases, so they're not, they don't have to lay off people to maintain level funded.
Other questions?
wait a minute,
Waiting a minute.
level service.
No.
Level,
okay.
level
Sorry.
service with, so level funded is 30 for the schools and the 6,
10
10,
for police.
10 for police, for level fund.
Correct.
For level service, that would be an override.
Correct, yes. If the override passes, then there would be no cuts to those departments that the override passes for.
So is the warrant being changed then? Then we're not asking for money for those other departments?
we're asking money for this, there's 7 different departments that we're asking money for. That hasn't changed.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that's not, like I said, we got to be careful with numbers. We had the board established March 23rd is the drop dead date for what the numbers, and then we'll adjust those numbers. And right now it's tracking, what Andrew mentioned. Those are the departments that would be affected by physical bodies because they were able to move some other things that they took out to save a position.
So this,
And just to continue to answer Floyd's question, there are things that they're cutting that they would like to have to keep the level of service they've provided, just not people
Right.
that they would have to be cutting.
Right.
this is the list if you want to review it. This is the difference between level funded and level service by department.
And we get rid of the assessor when we're getting rid of that vehicle, so vehicle doesn't have to be fixed. We had another vehicle to replace it. That vehicle's 7 or 8 years old and requires that plus another service.
And this is hypothetical, I don't know the numbers, but we're talking 30 in the schools, 10 in police, for level service, and a level funded, I mean. We can't say, you know what, let's keep one of those schools or one of those police and let's cut somebody in the, the painting department, just so that I don't insult anyone.
Create a department to use as your example.
Yes.
It's done by department, unfortunately.
Okay.
We're going to begin union negotiations. It's not as easy as it sounds, but we have to impact bargain with the unions and things like that, so.
And we recommend a budget amount, and then what that department head decides to do with it, we don't get any, we can make the suggestion like, oh, couldn't you do this? And they could say, yes, we could, and then you could give that money, and then they could do something completely different. Not that they would, I'm just saying that
So
is.
we can't decide that one department's more important than another.
No, unfortunately, no.
That doesn't make any sense to me, but okay.
That's what the town will
I,
vote on.
Yeah, the way that the board of the select board prescribed that the way that we would go to the town for override if it was necessary, which obviously it is, would be department by department rather than one single number. The short version of their reasoning was they think a single number would fail.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, so yes, that's one part of it. The other part of it is it gives the residents some opportunity. They don't feel like it's being jammed down their throat. So they have some control over. I mean, when everyone goes to the poll to vote, they're gonna have to vote what their pocketbook will afford. So, school of thought is if you have kids in the school system and you're concerned about class size, you're concerned about programs that may be cut, then you're more likely to support the line item on the funding for the school. If you're concerned about public safety and ambulance, then you're going to vote for police and that. So it gives now, hopefully, a lot of people are going to go and support everything, but that's an individual decision that people have to make.
Yeah.
I do have, if you want, I can get my list and read the individual 7 questions with a rough number if
Is that what you have up there, Andrew? Yeah,
Okay.
Andrew has it up on
Okay,
the screen.
excellent.
So, other questions?
Or we could take the time to go through and.
No, that's not gonna solve the problem. The problem is, we're not able to decide. And I know that that's what they did, but we could say the level
That we don't agree.
the level service budget, we've looked at all the departments. We could convince our esteemed people here that, that department doesn't need that person. We'd rather have that in the police. Couldn't we, before we put the numbers down on the warrant?
Well, I'm not
I'm not saying we're gonna be
Yeah.
able to do that, but
no, but
I'm just
It is a
trying to-
discussion that we can have.
Yeah, I'm
This
just trying to
board-
explore.
unfortunately, we don't have the kind of bodies. If anyone walks around town hall, we just don't have those bodies.
Yeah.
If we got into a situation where we have to, remove bodies, I was involved in a town where we had to remove bodies, and we actually had to shut town hall down for 2 hours during the day to allow the departments to catch up on the paperwork, especially offices like the treasurer collector's office. So.
I hear your point.
Yeah.
The fortunate thing about this year is that we are going for the override. Like last year when we went through the budget process, we had vivid, detailed discussions about, how can we optimize this to make sure, we're getting as much services, supplied to residents as possible. But because we have, this massive lead time on getting the ballots printed, doing the override process, it kind of hamstrings us. I do hear your point though.
And maybe we've already done that. We've already done what I suggested. I'm sure the other departments have.
Yeah, departments.
You've gone through the departments and
Yes.
looked to see if there's something that could come up. And I just want to sort of bring that out, that's already been.
Yeah, the departments have been working on this budget since, what would you say, August maybe?
Yes, well, we started the discussions with the town in the summer.
So,
Okay.
We're doing our
Thank you.
best.
Yeah. At the end, it's going to really come up to the voters on, where they see the priorities are. Based on, there'll be a lot of people working on the outside to make sure that the voters are educated and understand what the challenges and what the consequences are of cuts.
How much did the last override fail by? Alicia, do you remember? A lot. A lot. Do you remember what the number was?
I don't.
I,
Do you remember?
I can look it up.
No, after that, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely after that. Maybe
because we had the override for the school building.
Yeah.
That
The debt
passed.
exclusion.
that was a debt
That was
exclusion.
positive.
Yes. I don't remember.
Well, one number
I don't remember
override.
what the last one was before.
Hold on, I got it. Can you read that?
For
Since then, I thought.
That says 2008, but that was the, it was on after that.
That's all. That's.
You know, I'm
Nothing-
sorry, it never made it to the
I
ballot.
was just gonna say.
It didn't make it beyond town meeting.
Yep.
It would have been 2000 and maybe the teens,
I was gonna say
13,
15, 13.
14,
yeah.
somewhere around
But I
there.
don't think it did make it to the ballot.
It didn't pass it didn't pass town hall.
I think it's earlier than that because I think I've been on the board since I think 2013. 14 is when I came on the board, and it was before I came on the board.
Maybe it was 13.
So
Thank you.
other questions, other comments, anything else to bring up before we move to talk with the schools? All right,
All right. Thank you.
Felicia, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Think
for
you've
having us.
introduced both of yourselves to everybody here, but if we want to do introductions.
Felicia Michelle, Superintendent.
And I am Sarah Gainey, Director of Finance and Operations.
Floyd, do you want to start?
Oh, I'm sorry. Floyd Bertram.
Gregory Belzieri.
Matt Sala.
Barbara Ray?
Chris Murphy?
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I would like to just start off by a couple of thank yous. I'd like to thank our school committee for their support through this process, and specifically our Budget and Finance Subcommittee, Melanie Whitney and Carolyn Ellis, who have spent numerous hours with us going through our proposed budgets, our level service budget and our level funded budget. I'd also like to thank you for inviting us here tonight, and also to the town finance team. We've, since Mr. Rusko has been here, we've met a few times. We have standing meetings. Andrew's always available, so we're appreciative of that partnership. So tonight, I would like to go through, if I may, our budget book, our level service budget, and then our level funded budget. And obviously, if you have questions, please stop me. Otherwise, I just plan to give the presentation, and then feel free to ask whatever questions, obviously, you would like.
Fire away.
Fire, yes, bring it on. So in front of you, you have a copy of our budget book, as we refer to it. And I just would like to go through the contents of that. It's also online, available on our website, as are the rest of the documents that you'll see tonight. So first we have our overview of our budget process and what we're trying to accomplish. And our budget allows us to protect programs and services of our that our students rely on each day, including strong classroom instruction, social and emotional supports, special education services, academic interventions, extracurricular opportunities, and safe, well-cared-for learning environments. On page 2, you'll see our budget development calendar, and we're right on track to meet with the Finance Committee, so thank you. Next, you'll see our enrollment by grade level, by school. And this is a October 1st report. That October 1st is an important day with the Department of Education. That's our first, how many students do you have? And that's October 1st is what your funding for the following year is based on. So in here you'll see this year's enrollment data by grade, and you'll also see some historical comparisons as well. On the next page, you'll see our staff by school and by department. We have in each of the schools, teachers, special education staff, EL staff, our paraprofessionals, and our tutors. And that's, again, listed out by school. We have 339.3 employees in the Abington Public Schools. And we are obviously very proud of the work that all 339 do. So it's our staff. The next page is how our budget is appropriated. And of our whole of our operating budget that is provided by the town. 4% goes to administration, which includes superintendent, assistant superintendent, technology, finance, legal fees. 69% are instruction. So since 69% of our entire budget goes to the salaries of principals, department heads, teachers, counselors, psychologists, teachers, aides, and clerical staff. That also includes our student supplies, instructional materials, textbooks, library media supplies. 10% is other school services, including our nurses, crossing guard, coaches, student activities, and advisors. 7% is to operation and maintenance. That's our custodial and maintenance staff and supplies and materials. And about 10% of our budget goes to programs with other districts, and that's our special education students who we do not have a program for them to be educationally successful in our school department, so they go to out-of-district placements. I should also note that very consistent with other school districts, and I believe with the town as a whole, about a little over 75% of our entire budget goes to salaries, and less than 25% goes to expenses. So we are a organization that is in the people business because we teach people. And the next page is our increase by major category page. I'm going to skip over this right now because we're going to spend a little bit more time on that in a minute. But that's how our budget is increased. The next 3 pages, I believe, are the instructional materials that we are proposing to purchase for our students. Great majority of our instructional material costs are for our student and staff one-to-one laptop program that we have talked about in the past. Every student in grade 5 and in grade 9 receives a laptop from the schools, and they are used. I guess you don't use laptops to the bone, but they are used to the bone. And at the end of 4 years, we take the laptops back in. Those that can still be used are then used in our grades K through 4 classrooms. And those that have reached the end of their usable life are cannibalized for parts, and repairs are done. A majority of repairs to our laptops are done on site, and reusing many of the parts that we're able to take from the laptops. In the past, I've had questions about our laptop program, and our students are very respectful of our laptops. And a great majority of a very high percentage of our student laptops last the 4 years for those students, and they are used all day and a lot of times at home also. So I'm very proud of the work that our students have. I'm proud of our students and their appreciation of the laptop that is become a very important instructional tool for our students. Next, you'll see folded over is our line-by-line budget. And that is how we spend every dollar in the Abington Public Schools. In there, you'll see the final FY26 budget number, the increase, proposed increase for FY27, and then the FY27 number. And that's for every line, every school, and every department. And then finally, we have two articles. The first article, request article, is our school department budget. And the second is the out-of-district vocational transportation article. Those are for students, for this year, they're for students that attend Norfolk Agricultural School as a non-resident student. We pay for their transportation to Norfolk Aggie, which is in Walpole. And I mean Sarah and I, well, Sarah now, organizes a bus for about 12 South Shore communities. We have 2 buses and combined about 6 or 7 stops. And so students from the 12 communities go to those stops, and then they then travel to Walpole. So the $19,000 of this article is actually 1/12 of the cost of that bus. So if we had to pay for the transportation ourselves, it would be much, much higher. So
So that's a little bit increased over previous years.
it is. We've seen a significant increase in our transportation costs in general. We'll talk about that when we talk about our bus bid, but that is an increase. Correct.
Because I remember commenting that it seemed very, 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 very steady at 14,000 something.
Yes, correct. And it was, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Because we needed things to go up this year.
Yes. It's also dependent on, honestly, the sending districts, how many sending districts there are. We've been pretty consistent with 12, but there are some districts that only send one student there. So that student ages out, then they're not taking that bus for a year, and then 1 or 2 freshmen start and they start back up. But it's been pretty consistently 11, 12, 13 districts. Questions on the budget book? Okay. What I'd like to do now is provide our go through our preliminary budget presentation. This is our level service budget. And as Matt said, we begin our budget process really in the summer with where we are, opening school, leveling off our budget for that fiscal year. And then come October, we start reaching out to our principals, our department heads, and our directors to start putting together their budget requests for the following year. And then we spend November and December meeting with department heads, directors, school committee members, budget and finance subcommittee, and put together our preliminary budget. When we built this budget this year, we understood the town's situation and the financial situation that we were in. And we made the decision not to provide a growth budget, which we typically would do, about what we need. And we need more than we currently have. But we understood the situation, and so we came out with a level service budget. Our decision-making around our budget is really guided by our strategic plan and our strategic priorities. And we're in year 2 of our strategic plan. We funded our expense lines at the minimal amount to operate effectively. You'll see in a few minutes that that has become more expensive. We have 3 aging buildings, 2 aging elementary schools that are becoming more expensive to maintain. And we also, like everybody else, are seeing fluctuations in utilities, and more importantly, fluctuations in our maintenance of our buildings. Our contractors they're getting more money for the jobs. What we also have in our level service budget is what we believe maintains educational services, class sizes, and class loads at the and operations at the minimal requirements. Our preliminary budget is $34,358,222. And as I said, the proposed budget, the proposed level service budget maintains reasonable class sizes, maintains the current pre-K to 12 curricular and extracurricular programming. The proposed budget maintains our commitment to instructional resources like hardware, software, and books. And there are built-in increases for fixed or mandated costs that automatically make our budgets go up. So our level service budget is identified, the increases are identified here in what we call the increase by major category page. We settled what we believe to be very fair collective bargaining agreements with all of our unions. Next year will be year 2 of our agreements. But for 330 plus employees, we believe, we have estimated that our contractual obligations will increase our budget by $1,152,267. And again, that's for over 330 employees. We anticipate right now 3 people to be retiring. So there's a retirement offset, which means that someone leaves at a higher salary and we're able to bring in their replacement at a lower salary. So retirement offset of $87,532.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Were you asking a question?
Go ahead. I'll
I'm
ask
just
after
looking,
you.
I'm on this packet still.
Yeah.
I'm slow. Where did it go? Was the buses?
Yep.
I don't know where the bus went, yeah. So people pay for buses, but we only pay 110,000?
Yes.
So is that a line item that we can mess with? Meaning, if you want to take the bus, you pay $450 instead of, I don't know, I have no idea what the number is, right? I have
Yep.
no clue.
So
Instead of $27.
$255 a year.
So could they do $1,000?
So
Could that help this entire situation? Right?
So what has happened over the we've increased our ridership and decreased the amount of money that we've taken in because we have more families that qualify for state aid.
Yeah.
And so their fees are waived. So anyone who qualifies for free and reduced lunch, for example, gets their bus fee waived. We are required to transport students in grades K to 6 that live
2 miles.
more than 2 miles from the school. So right off the bat, I think I have the numbers.
All right, so this is just the kids that live within 2 miles. The 110 is just within 2 miles, and they don't qualify for any of the stuff.
And grades 7 to 12. Yep. And it's a smaller and smaller
And grades 7 to 12?
Yep, 7 to 12 have to pay regardless.
Yeah.
And we're required to transport grades K to 6 that live over 2 miles from the school.
So is there a number that you could raise, whatever the
bus fee.
The bus fee
We could.
for the people that don't qualify for whatever,
So
or is that just not something that would really make a difference?
It's not going to make that big a difference because if we charged $1,000 for a seat, for example, more people are going to drive their kids, so we're going to have fewer buses. So but we're not going to save any money because we still are going to have the required buses that have to take kids to school. We're going to have fewer people pay, and we're still going to have to pay for buses. So is that number $50 more? Maybe, but I have the number someplace, the transportation, how many pay exactly, how many are on waivers, and it's pretty even. We've, I can look at it again, but
I just didn't know if I didn't know if this was like an easy thing to say, hey, we can raise $500,000 by.
No, unfortunately, it's not.
As a personal example, I have a 6th grader who this year chose to take the bus, that we paid the fee. If the fee was $1,000, my 6th grader would not be choosing to take the bus. She would be getting driven to school.
Yes. So there's a number someplace that, is it worth losing riders?
Yeah.
And it becomes a wash.
I think it's like 1,200 total hours. And 600 mandated, 300 pay.
And 300 waivers.
Waivers.
Yep.
So
Would be
with only 300.
nice if the ones that the state was saying your fee is waived, the state actually gave us the money for the fee instead of just saying eat the cost, town.
It would be.
That would
We
be
call those
Unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
that would be an appropriate way to govern.
Yes. Yes.
So I just had a quick, I had watched the school committee meeting the other night, and someone had pointed out, and I just wanted to see if you remember the number, that contractual obligation of 1.15 million, when you average that out over the 339, do you remember what that number was?
I don't
the
exactly.
average, what the average increase was to someone's salary.
So when we talk about teacher salaries, we have a cost of living increase. Then we also have steps and lanes, so education and experience. We have I can tell you what we settled our CBAs at.
Not even all that detail. But Felicia, I think it made sense that,
You just
are you able to do that number?
Just do quick this.
The,
The
the 1.152
Divided by the 300.
divided by the 339, that the
It's like
app,
33.99.
Yeah,
So-
$3,400
Yeah.
basically.
so $4,000 a year.
34.
3,400 a year, increase, which, okay, just wanted to, that sounds like a reasonable,
Yeah.
increase,
339 points. Thank you. We have special education tuitions. So we believe that our tuitions will increase by $51,938. Remember, that's those are students that go to out-of-district special education programs. There is a law in Massachusetts that after April 1st, if you move from district to district and your child goes to a private program, after April 1st, the district where you lived before April 1st pays for your tuition for the following year. If someone moves in prior to April 1st, the district that they moved into is required to pay their tuition the following year. So we always hold our breath going to April 1st because after April 1st, we are assured that we won't get $100,000, a $200,000, a $400,000 placement for the following school year. That does not happen with students who attend collaborative education programs. Those programs run from $55,000 to $100,000. If a student moves into your community and attends a collaborative, you're responsible for their tuition for that year. So I just wanted to raise the point that special education tuitions are something that can fluctuate significantly in the course of the school year.
You can end up with a $500,000
That moved here from Florida.
that you are required to, and you, your reimbursement is, not what it,
It's, so in so the next line is our circuit breaker reimbursement. And we are anticipating for next year that our circuit breaker reimbursement is actually going down by $232,000 from this year. Now,
Felicia,
yep.
real quick, can you explain circuit breaker?
Yes, I will right now. So circuit breaker is a reimbursement program by the Department of Education. With circuit breaker, it's for students who attend out-of-district special education placements. The sending district, the district that the student resides in, is responsible to pay 100% of the first $55,000. That's called the threshold. Any dollar over $55,000, the state reimburses you in the following year for up to 75% of the cost of that placement. So last year, seems like 90 years ago, our special education budget actually went down. We had students that graduated and aged out of programs, which was great for this year's budget. But it decreases how much money we're going to get back next year. So circuit breaker, the district pays the first $55,000. The state pays up to 75% of every dollar over $55,000 in the following year. And that's only for students that are in out-of-district special education placements. There's also a caveat that it can be for some in-district programs, but they're very difficult to qualify. So I also just said that students that go to collaboratives, we spend about $55,000, between $55,000 and $85,000 on. If a student goes to a collaborative and they cost $55,000, we don't get any reimbursement for that student. It's for placements that cost more than 55.
What's a collaborative?
A collaborative, great question, is a public special education school that is has member districts. So we're a member of North River Collaborative, for example. They run special education programs for students that you might have a few students that have significant special needs that you can't successfully provide them what they need in the public school setting. So the cost of the program then is shared by all the districts that send a few students to that program. We're also a member district of Reed's Collaborative, which is located in Middleborough. And for example, Reed's has a deaf and hard of hearing program that if we had a student that needed that program, it wouldn't be cost effective or a good educational experience for the student to remain in the district with no other students that were in that same category. So they would go to a Reed's Collaborative for their program.
Thank you.
So circuit breaker, the number, when you have a reduction in a year in your special ed expenses, it's great, but then it's not great in the next year for the reimbursement.
And there can also be schools that are more of a hospital setting.
We have had students that are in a school for 365 days a year with nursing care. And the district spends, we've had students that was the highest, we had a $500,000 student who aged out. We've had students that have been in the $400,000 that are in a residential home, hospital school for their education career. And Greg often will ask, well, why isn't health insurance paying for that? And those are the
My same
arguments and
question,
fights that
Greg.
that a lot of that has been
I gave up.
talked about. Well,
I just threw in the towel on it.
yeah.
So.
It is a good question, though.
Yeah, it is.
And no one's saying that those children don't deserve to get the absolute education that they're getting. It's just where that financial burden falls.
100%.
It shouldn't necessarily be the school department.
And I feel very strongly too about our students that need to go to out of district placements. We do our special education teachers, our team chairs, our student services director, will do everything we can to keep the student in the district if that's the best place for the student. And we will also find placements for them if being in the district isn't the right place.
Can I ask a question that might not be the right question? Who finds the placements? Like, do you find the placements? Do the families find them?
That's a great question. We have an out of district coordinator who's
Okay.
also our director of the early education program. And so when a student needs to go to an out of district placement, oftentimes we will know about programs. We first try to have a student go to a collaborative. But some students, they're not going to be successful in a collaborative, so they are going to need a private placement. So there's and then the parent needs to agree to the placement. So our out-of-district coordinator and our director of student services really know what's in the area.
Oh.
And they, I'm sure, collaborate with other directors. Good question. So the next line is a 20% increase to student transportation, $231,278. We have, we're in the 5th year of our contract with our transportation provider. Our last contract was a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extension options, and that contract ends at the end of this year. We are about to go out to bid for a new contract. From everything we've heard from transportation vendors is that we can expect to see double-digit increases in our transportation contract for next year. We've done, I believe, everything we can do to decrease the cost. For example, We've changed some of our specifications to say, for example, the age of the buses. We're not requiring new buses. We're actually saying the buses can be 10 years old through the life of this contract. So that's a place that we are hoping is going to save us a little money. We're also currently our bus contractor uses a depot in Whitman. We've changed some language that just says it needs to be in a nearby community. We need our buses to be able to get here in an emergency, but do they need to be in an abutting community would be the question. So we have some language around how far they can, the lot could be to get back here in a reasonable amount of time. So and there's a few other instances that we're changing some language to be as competitive as we can. We want multiple vendors to bid on our bus contract. And so we're trying to make it as appealing as we can for multiple bidders to bid, which historically has not been the case. Special education transportation, those are typically vans that transport our students that are unable to ride on a regular yellow school bus, and we're anticipating a 5% increase of $58,175. You're going to see a decrease in instructional materials of $8,384, and that pun, sharpening our pencils, no, we asked our administrators and our department heads and directors to really look at what they're requesting for instructional materials, and this year we're seeing a reduction of $8,384. We have a new electric contract. We went out, we go out to bid with the town on an electrical contract, and we've been told to anticipate a 12% increase for next year in our electrical contract.
Is that with the aggregate that through the town?
I can't remember who the vendor is. It's Crimson?
Crimson Power.
Crimson Power, yeah. And then we've increased our maintenance of buildings by 15%, $74,874. You'll hear when we talk about our capital plan about our aging infrastructure at Beaverbrook and the Woodsdale. And it's costing more to run those buildings. It's costing more to repair those buildings. And we're concerned about that for next year. For a total increase of $1,763,957, or 5.41%. Our level service budget does not support new programs or initiatives. There's no new staff, and it does not include updated educational resources or materials. Our level service budget retains what we have today without any growth. You'll see a slide there that again shows the salaries versus expenses. For the school department, 75.5% of our budget is salaries and 24.5% are expenses.
I just point out, or ask a question.
Sure.
As you went through this, I noticed that most of the increase, the vast majority, is sort of a given. It's not negotiable. It's not discretionary.
It's contractual.
Yeah, it's contractual or it's some kind of contract, whether it's with the union, or whether it's with the school district, or the state is making us do that. There really is no increase in discretionary spending here. Almost none.
1,000%. There's
All right.
no extra money in this budget. This is truly taking what we are doing this year and how much it costs us to do it next year. And without any extras. The only extra argument could be on our infrastructure, maintenance, but we're seeing the maintenance increases every day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's contractual or student services.
Okay.
And the maintenance, anybody with an older car knows you can't just like close your eyes and
And that,
Turn the radio off?
hope that and ignore the noises that are going on or anything like that. You
and
can't.
even that.
That doesn't make it
It's such a small,
be a problem.
58,000 of 34 million
Right.
is
Right. For
tiny.
that line, it's an increase.
Yeah.
But in our overall budget,
Tiny.
it's
Very small
a
percentage.
very small
Yeah.
percentage. But we have to have heat in our buildings, we have to have lights on in our buildings. So, correct.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
ballparking the maintenance of buildings is maybe 3.5%, 4% of the increase.
Yeah.
So
So now, do we have other questions on our level service budget? That's again, taking exactly what we have this year and just making it happen next
yeah,
year.
I think this breakdown that we just ran through is really excellent detail and really lays out exactly what and why the increases, what the increases are and why they're there. So very much appreciated. Anyone?
Really quick, do you just have an extra copy? I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Yes,
My
yes.
phone at 7:30.
Oh, yep, sorry. We have it all.
I think it was like when you reset the meeting time, it like puts a time that you're at, and I didn't adjust.
Well, you can give me a call, we can go over whatever you might have missed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'd like,
And it is being recorded, so you can.
yes.
I just like to take notes on the paper.
So I'd now like to talk about the impact of having a level funded budget. So, first of all, I know, town manager has said this, I know Andrew has said this, but I want to be very clear that the situation that we're in is not because of mismanagement of funds. It's not because people spent when they didn't have it. It's because it's a math equation. As you have seen, that we have an increase to our budget and there's not a revenue source to pay for that.
Not a
And that's-
mismanagement.
There's no mismanagement. Expenses are outpacing,
Maybe not as much in the town. But there's definitely mismanagement.
I can tell you there's no mismanagement in the
That's
school
what I
department.
mean, like, so the money being less than what we got last year after the state makes more money actually is mismanagement. That's actually a definition of it.
At the state level, not at our,
The
Oh,
point,
yeah, I'm
the
just saying.
the point being, there is no mismanagement in the school department. There is no mismanagement at the town level. That is not what we are looking at here. Andrew,
If it may, this is systemic.
it is.
This is exactly how the system is designed at the state level. Towns are limited by Prop 2.5,
Yes.
and when increases are above 2.5% for several years, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
But this is by design. This is what the state wants for towns. And without the state aid to come in and help us out, it's
Especially
not
when they
pretty.
made more. Just want to keep reiterating that.
Right.
And we,
can I just add, sorry, I agree with you that this is what the government 1982 set up, was that taxes wouldn't go up more than 2.5%, but we have seen increases in state aid that have brought that increase over, our amount of money we can spend
Well,
well over 2.5%. So,
yes.
um,
And taxes can't go up. There are other sources of revenue that can increase local receipts that we've talked about, like the meals tax, the excise tax. Those are not. It's the real estate taxes in the town that are limited by Prop 2.5. Growth in the town increases our total bucket, which decreases each individual person's property taxes, which we like. We like growth to an extent. We also like our community the way our community is, and don't necessarily want to try to rival Brockton or Weymouth in size. So there's only a certain amount of growth we can do, but yes, it's very much the way the system is set up.
yes. I just wanted to say that because our budgets have gone up more than 2.5%. And
Yes.
that wasn't because we mismanaged or misspent. It was because there were other revenue sources that we were able to use.
But now state aid has been drying up.
Yes. So now we're more dependent on the local receipts. So I just wanted to say that. So I am going to present to you tonight a compilation of cuts that would have to happen should a Prop 2.5 override fail. As someone had mentioned, it's 28.1 positions. And each proposed reduction that we're going to talk through will have an impact on services, student experience, program of studies, and our class sizes. There was no reduction that was easy. There was no position that was easy. There's no extras. I just want to reiterate, each position has an impact on a student, on families, and on school operations. The administrative team, our principals, our assistant principals, central office team, took a very surgical, thoughtful approach to each of these reductions. And each position in the district was looked at and looked at carefully. So you'll see in the packet that you have, there's the increase by major category page that I just went over. And then there's the gap, the level service budget versus the level funded budget, and what that gap is. And that gap of $1,763,957 will be represented by 28.1 positions. We'll start on slide 16. As I said, every position was looked at. The impact of each position was talked about. So our first proposed reduction is one administrative assistant from the central office. This position is responsible for onboarding of new employees, oversees operations of the central office, and is integral in data collection and processing of data and of new employees, and is also very assistive with student registrations and transportation. We're proposing a reduction in our summer custodial help. We hire part-time employees in the summer so that we are able to appropriately clean and clean floors, clean our buildings, clean our glass, so that our buildings are ready for student and staff arrival in late August. And this will impact our ability to complete projects as we have in the past. We're also looking to reduce summer IT support with our one-to-one computing program, plus all the technology that's out in our buildings. This will decrease our ability to complete all the required technology tasks that occur in the summer.
I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry. So when you, if you're facing this scenario and you remove an administrative assistant, where do those duties go to? Is there a cost? Because I'm assuming that if you're giving someone else additional duties, that you're going to have to compensate them in some manner.
Yes, there's some,
Not necessarily on that point. As someone who has been through that in his own job, sometimes getting additional duties does not come
with additional compensation.
compensation.
We are looking, for example, at electronic onboarding suite, so that we would hire an employee, and instead of having paperwork done, they would complete things online. There would still have to be a person to oversee that process in our office. I anticipate there will be some challenges and delays in student registration and in transportation bus applications and processing.
Is this things like Cory checks and that
Yep,
type of thing?
those will be given to somebody else. Cory checks, SORI checks. We also do, when we hire new employees, we do a DCF check, and those will have to fall onto other people. with possible adjustments to people's salaries and depending what is picked up and how duties are reallocated. At the early education program, we're cutting 0.2 of speech and language pathologist, and this will change the service delivery at how the speech and language pathologist teaches the students at the AEP. Students will receive small group instruction with fewer opportunities for one-to-one or services in a classroom. And these are students that are 3 to 5 years old and learning to speak and learning to communicate with other people. So that's a significant change. At the Beaverbrook Elementary School, one special education teacher. This position is a teacher that teaches the Therapeutic Learning Center. Those are students in a self-contained therapeutic program for most of the day. That's where they have a great majority of their time. They may go into a regular education classroom for special subjects, music, art, PE, but for the most part, so this will increase the class size in the remaining TLC classrooms. Reduction of a grade 2 teacher. This will reduce grade 2 from 8 to 7 sections, and it'll increase the class size from 18 to approximately 21 students. Eliminating 3 special education paraprofessionals from Beaverbrook Elementary School. Our paraprofessionals are professionals that work in classrooms and support our students with special needs and at Beaverbrook during their foundational instructional learning years. I should also note that although these are pretty significant cuts to our special education program, we will still be compliant with the law in terms of what we have to provide, but it'll have a significant impact on the students that receive those services.
Approximately how many students in those grades have?
It's about 30% of our students. I'm not sure on that.
That's
I
okay.
can let you know.
There's an
This will
impact.
definitely, so we have special education teachers and then we have paraprofessionals. And the paraprofessionals
They make
provide
a difference.
in-class support, small, might pull a small group out to work within the classroom. They make a significant difference in the classroom, in the experience, especially for students with special needs.
And
Well,
teachers
and the
who have to
other
work on
students.
IEPs. And teachers who have to work on IEPs.
Yes,
Well, and additionally for the students who do not need the services, who get the attention from the teacher that they would not necessarily get if the paraprofessional were not in the class.
exactly. We have a tutor that provides social emotional learning support. So this person works with general education students, so students who are not on IEPs, for school adjustment issues, mental health challenges, and behavioral challenges. That's it. At the Woodsdale School, we are looking to reduce one of our music teachers by 1 day. Every student will still have music, but it'll impact maybe not get a special a day, and their classes may be larger in music. Reduction of 2 reading specialists at the Woodsdale. We have 2 reading specialists at the Woodsdale that provide small group targeted intervention for students that are reading below grade level. A reading specialist is a licensed reading teacher. So we're eliminating both reading specialists at the Woodsdale. 0.6 school adjustment counselor. The school adjustment counselor provides general education support, focusing on mental health and behavioral challenges. Again, for students that are not on IEPs, but have these challenges in our schools. Reduction of a OG tutor. The OG tutor, reducing the OG tutor will reduce targeted evidence-based reading intervention for students requiring structured literacy support.
Can I ask what OG is?
Orton Gillingham, yes, thank you. Orton
I
Gillingham.
was gonna say, because I know one does not apply that.
Orton Gillingham is a specialized certification and reading program. So Orton Gillingham is taught to special education students who are still having reading or literacy difficulties, where reading specialists work more with general education students who are struggling in reading. And don't forget, we're talking about 3rd and 4th graders that where students make the transition from learning to read to reading to learn. So if you are in that space and you are still having challenges reading the content that you're learning in your classes, you can't access it because you can't. We're also proposing the elimination of 2 math tutors. And the math tutors provide a small group targeted intervention to students that are below grade level in math. Also, regular education and special education students that are having challenges in math. Now moving on to the middle and the high school. I'd like to start this with the caveat that with these proposed reductions at both the middle school and the high school, most students in grades 5 through 12 will be scheduled for a minimum of 1 learning center or academic lab per day. For those of us that grew up a number of years ago, that would be a study hall. So every student in the middle school or high school will have a learning center or an academic lab, a minimum of 1 per day.
I ask how many, like, what percentage of kids have a study now? Because I know like they were pretty common, like.
Not that common. I mean, there are.
It's certainly not 100%.
It's certainly not 100%, and it's certainly not every day. For example, at the middle school, you might have an academic lab for 30 days a year out of the 180, or you might have one for 60 days out of the 180. But students do not have one every day.
Okay. I know like a lot of the kids had them. I really was very creative to not have them.
There are, in order to have enough credits to graduate, you can't have 2 a day for 4 years.
Yeah.
You have to sign up for more classes than that. Or you have to be scheduled in more classes. I think the other difference is now it will be because there aren't classes for students to go to. There are not offerings for them to go to, even if they wanted to. So at the middle school, 1 grade 5-6 STEAM teacher will that class will be eliminated, and that's science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
Do you want my mini rant?
Sure.
STEM was created for the hard scientists. Hard sciences. Not speaking well is not making my point good here, but as a STEM person adding art to that feels wrong.
It's been
Not-
controversial
it's not you.
over the years.
It's not remotely you, but just
It has
that's my
the intent,
rant.
I believe, was to soften it.
As a computer science and math guy,
Yeah.
STEM was science-based. Art is not. I love art. Art is great, but let us have our hard science section.
When the old ride passes, we could call it the Matt Solid class in grades 5 and 6.
Good by me.
Grade 6, the elimination of grade 6 teacher, that will reduce grade 6 from 8 sections to 7 sections, changing the average class size to 24.2 to 28.3. Eliminating 1 world language teacher. Currently, students take they take Spanish 1 in 8th grade. This will eliminate the introductory course that they have in 7th grade, and Spanish 1 will be taught over 2 years. So Spanish 1 will be taught half in 7th grade, half in 8th grade, and then students can go to the high school and start year 2 of Spanish. So that's an example of, it goes from 180 days a year to 90 days. So the other 90 days, those students don't have any place to go.
Right.
So that would be an example of when they would have, for example, an academic, an ACT lab. 0.5 computer science teacher. With this elimination, digital literacy curriculum will be revised to include prioritized computer science standards. Grade 7-8, 0.5 grade 7-8 STEAM teacher. This will be reduced from 60 days to 90 days, resulting in decreased time to address the state standards. Again,
I think 60 to 30.
I'm sorry, 60 to 30, you are correct. Another example of where would those students go that other 30 days, they would have less study help. Reduction of a grade 5 teacher. This will reduce grade 5 from 7 to 6 sections, changing the average class size from 25.5 to 29.8. 0.4 wellness teacher. This will increase class sizes in PE from approximately 25 to 30 to 35, and in grade 7-8 health from 20 to 25 to 30. 0.4 music teacher. Due to scheduling, all students may not get their first choice of band, chorus, or general music, and sections of each will be larger. So you're a student who would like to join chorus, but it's not available that period, you're going to be assigned into general music course. 0.2 art teacher. Sections will be combined, resulting in larger class sizes and decreased opportunities in class for art. And 1 special education teacher, 7-8 special education teacher, and that will impact the ability to provide co-taught classes as they have done this year and in the previous years as well. Abington High School. You'll see on a number of these positions, the other half or other portion of these positions to make it a full cut. For example, a 0.6 wellness teacher, the 0.4 you'll see in the middle school side, the 0.6 is at the high school. The offerings such as first aid, CPR, lifelong fitness will be significantly reduced or eliminated. 0.2 speech and language pathologist. This is actually part of the 0.2 AEP cut. So that position is being cut a total of 0.4, and that will impact the current service delivery model, and students will receive their instruction in larger small groups. Yep.
So if 0.6 is what would be removed?
Remaining.
Remaining.
Yep.
So how would it be eliminated, or it would obviously be reduced?
Yep, but it's from the high school, it's eliminating a 0.2 of that job.
I'm sorry, I meant for the wellness teacher.
0.6 is being cut at the high school,
Yep.
and 0.4 is being cut at the middle school. So that position, that person is gone.
So that and that, it's the same person.
Got it, understand.
They split their time between.
All right, so they don't just, there's one person that does both.
Yep, they're actually, that's how it's gonna be. It's one person because of the way bumping happens. It's actually a person who teaches at the middle school, so someone else from the high school is gonna come and teach at the whole bumping and licensure is gets a little confusing. 0.4 art teacher at Abington High School, and this will reduce art offerings such as digital art and photography, and will also result in larger class sizes. The reduction of the computer science teacher, the number of computer science electives will be significantly reduced and will not be taught by a dedicated computer science teacher. 1 English teacher, which will result in the elimination of some ELA electives and larger class sizes among the remaining courses. 1 science teacher, the possible elimination of physical science, resulting in larger class sizes in the remaining courses and decrease elective offerings in science. One transition tutor. This is a program that we have for special education students who are between 18 and 22 years old and have a specialized program which includes school and work sites, and this will decrease the number of job sites for these students in this program. Our library, which is in the middle of the middle school and the high school, services both the middle school and the high school, are about 1,200 students. And it currently is staffed by one librarian and one library tutor who also does much of our frontline IT support for students. And this is eliminating the tutor from the library, which will result in limiting library access, longer IT repair times, and decreased library services. And the reduction of one custodian from the middle high school, which will impact our ability to maintain and clean all areas of the building. We are also proposing to eliminate our directors and department heads. Director of Art, Director of Music, Director of Wellness, ELA department, English department head, Math department head, Social Studies and Business department head, Science department head, and our World Language department head. By not having curriculum leaders in these areas will impact our ability to do curriculum revisions and updates, will reduce, it won't eliminate it, but it'll delay or pause curriculum revisions and update. It'll reduce instructional supports, and collaboration will diminish teachers' capacity to innovate and ultimately limit students' access to consistent, high-quality learning experiences.
Does that essentially eliminate stipends?
This is their stipends.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. These aren't the people.
Right.
It's their department head stipends. We are, I will note that we're keeping, we have 3 directors that we are actually keeping: nurse, guidance, and English language learners. Those director positions are more compliance-centered and compliance-driven.
Just a question on that.
Sure.
You're reducing their stipend. Does that make them more likely to jump to another school district, or are other school districts doing the same thing? So
Can I really want to answer that
Okay.
question. Can I do the last position and then
Sure.
I'm going to talk all about that because
All right.
you're correct.
All right.
And our last position is a paraprofessional that acts in the capacity of a translator for our district. So not having the translator will decrease the level of on-call support for interpreter services and will result in an increased reliance on existing technology and fee-based contracting. So Chris asked about, might this reduction of department heads and directors cause people to jump ship? The current budget situation that we're in Abington, we're not alone. We know that. But there are opportunities in other districts. And it's my feeling, it has been our feeling as a school department, that when we start talking about positions, the people whose names are attached to these jobs will be told before we make their cuts public. So we had anticipated making this public last Tuesday. I don't know if you know, we had a blizzard last week. So the week before February vacation, all 28.1 people were told that should the override fail, that their positions would most likely be eliminated. I anticipate that we're going to lose really good teachers between now and May for next year. Because if there's a chance I'm not going to have a job, and I see a job in a community that either I live near or commute to or don't mind moving to, then why wouldn't I take that opportunity? And as I said when I
If
started,
that community is not also in a position of potentially eliminating positions.
correct.
Because that first people are most likely out.
Yes, but if
But-
you're being cut, if you're English teacher being cut here and someone else needs an English teacher, yes, you might get cut next year or the year after, but today they believe they need you for next year. So we anticipate cutting, we're losing good people that are potentially going to be cut. When I started this, I said that every cut was made with thought and very surgical. It's also really important that I tell you how professional people have been. 28 people were notified before February school vacation that they were potentially losing their jobs. People continued to show up. People are continuing to work. This is really hard stuff to hear. Our staff have been nothing but professional. To say that it hasn't impacted the culture of our buildings would be unfair because it's a weight. And every single one of these positions impacts kids. And that's the weight. That's the weight of 29 kids in a classroom, not having math interventions, not having reading specialists at the Woodsdale. Those are the impacts that people are thinking about. And that's the last slide I just want to just in totality is at the elementary level for Unit A, which is our teachers, we have 6.7 people being proposed to be cut. At the secondary level, teachers, 8.4. Unit B, which is our paraprofessionals, tutors and specialized tutors, are 11, and then 2 support personnel for 28.1. We do believe that 7 of those positions will be reduced through attrition. Someone's retiring, someone already told them they're leaving, and so 21.1 people were notified of a reduction in their job. And those are the numbers that we're working with Andrew on with unemployment also.
Mm-hmm. Which, just to make sure for anybody listening, as we've talked about many times on the committee and as we alluded to earlier, eliminating a person does not eliminate their entire salary because we cover a portion of their unemployment from the town.
Yes.
So to save the amount that we pay one person, we have to cut more than one person, which is the very unfortunate reality of town finances in times like this.
I believe that we used to use for every 2.5 people that you laid off, you need to lay off a third. So then to cover the unemployment costs. So then for every 2.5 of those, you have to lay off another one, and it becomes a spiral.
Downward spiral.
Yes.
Hence Andrew's model.
Yes.
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 Questions for Felicia?
Maybe. You mentioned in your increased costs model earlier that people were retiring painfully, like
Yeah.
there was that adjustment. Are they included in the reduction of staff?
So, good question. One is,
Okay.
actually 2 are, and then a third is retiring, but she actually teaches the position that we have to fill. That
Okay.
wasn't part of our reductions, but
Yeah.
that's a good question.
Okay.
Yes.
Are all the cuts to like teachers?
There are,
It was, so that was you missed some of it with when you had to step out, but it was.
15 are teachers, 11 are support, paraprofessionals, tutors, and
Yep.
2 are support.
What about hired people?
There's the breakdown.
Administrators?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoever's hired.
Yep, so, or lower, I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
I'm
I'm
just-
way down, but we are if we are a very, very lean organization administratively. We have a high school with a principal and assistant principal, 600 kids. We have a middle school with the principal, assistant principal, 700 students. We have no assistant principal at our Woodsdale, and we have an assistant principal at the Beaver Brook, which is our K-2 building, with about 600 students. And for safety reasons, really, not having assistant principals in that size buildings, middle, high school, and Beaver Brook would.
So assistant principal and a principal, they're the only real.
That's our administrators. Yep. We have superintendent, assistant superintendent, director of finance, director of special ed.
Is the student population increasing every year?
We have been quite stable the last couple of years. We do every year a demographic study with NASDAQ, which is education organization, and they do a demographic study for us based on data that they collect from town hall, births 5 years ago, move-ins, census data. We are a little bit concerned, quite honestly, about our kindergarten class. Our kindergartens have averaged about 180, and we're anticipating, based on our NASDAQ data, 218, which would be quite it's also 5 years post-COVID.
Funny how that works.
Funny how that works. So so we got the demographic study back, and we were like, there's no way that's right. And NASDAQ is wrong. And then we started going back a year, like the NASDAQ studies of the last 5 years were like, they were within like 3 kids for kindergarten. So we have not reduced a kindergarten teacher because of that. If our numbers came in lower, we might be able to later reduce a kindergarten teacher, but right now at 218, we have to keep who we have. And we also we do a big kindergarten registration push in the spring. So if you're listening to this at home, please pay attention to when kindergarten registration is. But then we have a number of students who sign up over the summer.
2 of those are mine
2 kindergartners?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
in
awesome.
the fall.
Other questions for Felicia?
I like the pictures you put.
You like that? What happens? We are,
From the financial side, the breakdown is you've really provided us very good information. Really,
thank you.
really detailed of this is where the increases all are. This is what we would have to do to get down to it. You've obviously put an awful lot of work into this. We definitely appreciate that.
Thank you. And I do need to thank, like I said, our school committee and our administrative team just have worked. We started this process of looking at, we needed to be surgical. We knew that every cut was going to impact kids, and it wasn't like, oh, let's just cut a
Across
person.
the board.
Yeah. And so we started the cut list in December, and spent many hours with our administrators on impacts. And so I really need to thank them and our leadership team. Anyone on the fight, and anyone at home, please, if you have questions, call me. We're available. We make ourselves available. We'll come to you. You come to us. And because this is really important, and I want people to make sure they understand impacts of their decisions.
Abby, anything? Chris? Chris is chewing on something.
Yeah,
I'd advise
it's not for them really, it's more for the finance team. And it really doesn't accomplish anything, so I'm not going to ask.
I'd still suggest asking.
No.
Okay. Greg, Floyd,
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Barbara. I came to you last because you usually have
I
something.
usually do. I
Barbara and I
sad.
have done this.
I was gonna say, I'm sad that we're in this position
Yeah,
again,
it's
for
not
sure.
it's not a position any of us want to be in. It's a position that we've been able, like we've been talking about sort of the potential cliff of this coming for probably 6 years at this point. And we've staved it off for a number of years.
And not because we didn't plan,
No.
not because we didn't plan appropriately, not because we didn't set money aside, not because we mismanaged the money that we were using each year. We just cannot keep up with some of the costs. There's some increasing costs that have just increased at such a rate that we cannot keep up.
And part, like for the town overall, the biggest increase year to year is salaries of the people who work here. And as everyone who's watching this knows, inflation has been not kind over the last several years, and we need the people who work for us to be able to try at least a little bit to keep up with that, and otherwise we're going to lose them to places that let them keep up with it. So it's a tough line to walk and to balance.
And we want to hold on to the
And then-
good employees that we
Exactly.
do have.
And I know,
And go ahead.
no, I know Michael has talked about this, and our largest increases are salary increases. And I feel very confident that we settled very fair contracts with all our employees.
Again, the number was $3,400 for
Yeah.
the year.
The other thing that really stood out to me in going through this, in talking about what is something like between 8 and 9% of your staffing that we're talking about, the amount that you're doing for the students of the town is really excellent. Like if this is where we're talking about less than 10% of what you do, and the detail of the things that you walk through, it's a lot of good services that you provide for our children. So
It'll be a significant loss.
I was just going to say that folks that are watching, we're not the only community that's grappling with this type of issue. There's potentially anywhere from 25 to 40 communities right now dealing with overrides for this year, and if they're going to bring them forward. I don't have the list in front of me right now, but I'll have it when I'm here next week. I did mention it when I gave the presentation at the school committee of the ones that have already done it. Some are doing it again because the ones that they did last year failed, and now people see the impact, because I think a lot of people are skeptical. When we say that there's going to be cuts, there's going to be impact. I don't know if people don't follow the information or they don't believe that we're going to carry through. We have that responsibility. There's X amount of money, and it is. Mr. Chairman, you started talking about this. Barbara talked. It's pension, healthcare, fuel. There's all of these things that are driving it. Our contracts are very modest. I think if you look at the salary, and residents can look at the salary, they get the annual report. I know it's one of the things people like to look at, is the salary, and get annual reports from some of the other communities and look at some of the salaries that are being paid. We have to be competitive. If we're not competitive, then we're not going to get quality people. We're not going to get.
We're certainly not above average on what we're paying.
Right.
We are right in line. We've done several
we've done studies.
and audits of what we were for quite some time, really underpaying, below average, and really below. And some Council on Aging comes to mind, where we were really below what the norm was. So it's not like we're.
In settling our contracts, we've done salary surveys up and down, and just as you said, Barbara, our objective is to remain average. And that's every employee in the average. Me, teachers, Sarah, average for the area. We actually use North River Collaborative districts as our matrix, and so we're always comparing the same thing. It's 11 communities in this area, and we want to be right in the middle. And we've been able to successfully do that over the years.
Anyone have anything else?
Thank you. Wonderful.
Felicia, Sarah, thank you both. For
Thank you so
all the
much.
work
Thank
you
you.
put in, and thank you for coming and
Yes.
explaining this.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
All right, liaison reports.
I got nothing.
Chris, anything? Greg? Lloyd? All right, I checked correspondence. There, once again, is no correspondence. There's also no meeting minutes for us to go over. I'm expecting we'll probably get some soon from Kelly to go over one of our upcoming meetings. Our next meeting is next Wednesday, March 11th. We have South Shore Votech coming with a sneak preview of that with some good news.
I did too.
Our assessment for them is actually going down slightly, which is nice for the budget.
Every penny counts.
Yeah.
We have our town manager for his own personal budget / the town office's budget, and then the treasurer collect. And after that, we will meet on the 18th, 2 weeks from now, and should have the warrant for us at that point, correct?
A little later.
Okay.
That's
But
still being assembled.
we'll be looking at that point between the 18th and the 25th at the overall numbers for the ballot for.
Those will be, after the 23rd, those will be,
Is there a meeting on the 25th?
Yes. You're not going to be here. Greg will not be here on the 25th. For all those who watch only for Greg, you don't have to.
Well, there go our ratings.
There's
Yes.
2 or 3 people.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Does anyone have anything else for tonight?
Yes, just a question on,
Yep.
you've sent out a thing, presumably from Andrew,
Yes.
about what's being spent this year. And it
Yep.
looked like we're slightly over budget from what I saw. Now, maybe I'm not reading everything, and maybe that wasn't the intent, but I'm just concerned that if that's true, normally wouldn't we make that up with free cash? But we're using free cash to cover the 27 budget. So are we using free cash twice? I think I know the answer, and I just felt like I had to ask.
So before Andrew answers, one of the things that I will point out that Andrew typically points out is not every line item and not everything that we spend money on is money that we spend consistently every month for 12 months. Right. There are some things that are paid upfront. There are some things that are paid quarterly. Some things are paid at the half-year mark. Some things come in exact times. And I know one of the things that we talked about, excise tax, we're just starting to get into that. The numbers on that are definitely very low for what they'll end up being. But now I'll turn it over to Andrew to give more detailed information.
Right, so are you talking about the expenditure and revenue reports I put together every month?
I think so, yeah. You had you had numbers and then a projected number
Yes.
of things that you expected to be different than budget.
Right, yeah. So we do monitor that consistently throughout the year. We do know there will be some deficits. Those have been identified and communicated, and we're monitoring it throughout, we will be monitoring it through the rest of the fiscal year. Just bottom line, when I put together March's report, we're about 66% through the fiscal year, time-wise. And if you look, the general fund is about 65% spent. So while there are some deficits, it tracks, we're right where we should be.
Okay, all right. So there's no surprise, or not surprise.
Right.
There's no known expectation that we're going to have to use free cash to cover fiscal year 26.
Well, there's snow and ice, but
So I was just gonna say.
the other deficits
Yeah.
that we anticipate should be covered within the
Okay.
budget,
All right.
except for snow and ice.
If we could just budget more for snow and ice.
Well, then where are you gonna take it from, Greg?
I'm just saying it happens.
I'm just saying too.
The thing that
Take it
I,
from where?
If we had taken it from somewhere before, we
So I-
maybe wouldn't.
I was talking to someone about this. It's always been a tricky scenario because when you increase the amount, you can't decrease the amount. It's one of the strange budgeting rules of the state, but it's the only area where we can go into a deficit and pay it back later, essentially. However, one of the things that I have consistently seen over my time on the committee, and especially in the last maybe 8 to 10 years, is there's an amount, and it's maybe somewhere around $400,000 that we're never below.
Accurate.
And it might be wise when we are in a situation where we are not in dire financial circumstances, that we increase the snow and ice line to somewhere around that amount and have that be the baseline, and then a winter with more storms will still go over, but we won't go over by quite as much, and we'll be more prepared on a sort of mild or average winter.
Andrew, have a comment?
I think you should add snow and ice to the menu. It's a solution.
I agree on that.
So this
Add it
menu
to the
is still
menu.
locked in?
It is,
Like you
that's correct. I was just gonna say, I did speak to the superintendent, and we're at about $1.37 million.
Yeah,
So
that's
far.
easy.
We got that hanging around.
I
gonna do?
feel like I mean, that's one area where you wouldn't be pitting department against
Yeah.
department. But I also feel like it's one area that, I don't know who's gonna
I mean,
vote to, you know what I mean? Who's gonna support that,
Right.
Or
right?
even raise it to 200. Just like the 100, like
I know, but
somebody
it's
came
so
up with 100 grand,
negligible.
like, I don't know.
When you look at
At-
right now, what is the deficit right now?
In
Snow and ice,
1.2 million.
1.2 million. So you're gonna take 100,000 away from somewhere else at this point in things.
No, I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about just
Just in
planning,
general,
planning
yeah.
for the next year.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean like Matt said we haven't gone under 400. Like I've been saying for a while just to go to 250, 300. I mean, I don't know. It just makes more sense to budget for it so that we're not always trying to move something around. Or maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't know. It makes sense in my brain.
I'd love to do it in 2032.
Right. Yeah, when we have extra money after the pensions are
Yeah.
funded.
You gotta take,
Yeah.
you gotta take,
But this is,
my problem is because we didn't do it before, we spent that money somewhere else.
Right.
Because the budget balanced to revenue. So the expense grew to cover that extra 100,000 that should have been in snow and ice. And because the budget grew, then it grew by 4%, 5% every year. Then now we'd still have a problem, but the problem may not be as big because that extra money that gonna end up spending anyway on snow and ice got spent somewhere else.
I hear you.
Yeah,
It's
I've said this, several years, but
it's similar to the pension.
Yeah.
If 30 years ago the town had invested a little bit more money in the pension, we wouldn't be paying nearly as much as we did now.
It's such a time crunch.
yeah,
But because of the time value of money, it's just crushing us.
yes.
Where if we have tightened the belts when I was much younger, it'd be a lot easier. So
Yeah, now we're back to the OPEB, which
Right.
is out of the question now.
2032.
Yeah, just the thing with the 1.3 million deficit in snow and ice, 400,000 of that came from the storm, the 48-hour storm. And we'll be able to put in potentially if the state there's a threshold for FEMA
Yes.
by county and by the state. So if we make that, then we'll be able to put in those costs and then get reimbursed. for-
Because we did
At
declare a
least that
state of
way.
emergency,
That is
correct,
correct.
at the
Yes. Oh, yeah.
selectmen's
We
meeting,
had the
the
special
break before.
selectmen
Yeah.
meeting on a Sunday to do that, yep. Did the ban, we closed the alcohol and marijuana places, and,
Yeah, we didn't take any money. We could have killed it on the marijuana.
Listen,
We would've
those
been way
marijuana
up
sales are dropping, Greg.
We'd be
Your
over $1 million
promises.
bucks. We would be over $1 million if we did.
I don't know the business, but, it was funny, I'm home after, left here, it was, Sunday afternoon, and I'm listening, and then someone shot me a little message, one of my friends in Marshfield, and one of the local establishments here was telling people to quickly get out before 9 o'clock to get a supply before the.
Before they get shut off.
It's always good to do that and then go shoveling. Everybody.
Oh.
Anything else?
Nope.
Chris, that was a good topic to.
It's a tough one to read.
This is a question that I think probably has no answer. Is there a way that we could see what the override not passing, what the cost to the town would be of departments using overtime or things of that nature, like paying unemployment, like hey, if we don't pass this override, here's what our bill's actually going to be.
No, I mean, that is a fantastic point, and that's very evident, certainly in the police department and fire budgets, to be able to articulate that. That's what drives a lot of their budget and the overtime. So you have people, when you have a reduction in staff, you still have to provide offices to do the routes. We're not going to go in the town of Abington and not have police on the 11 to 7, so you have to cover all of those shifts. Now, if you have to lay off 6 offices, you're going to have to then pay the other offices. They're going to have to do overtime. So then it actually becomes almost uneconomically feasible because you're paying someone time and a half their salary to do that. You're going to do that potentially for the fire department.
Big police, it was going to cost you $2 million to cover the overtime.
Yeah.
Or you can pay $865,000
That's
Police and fire both.
to
Yep.
fund the
Very- with a
override.
lot of detail.
I just didn't know if that's something we could circulate
Yeah.
because I feel like I think the town needs to see real numbers that will impact us.
In a more condensed version,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so like this, these are the costs of,
I will get that answer. It's definitely doable for fire police.
But make sure they do include, just for people's knowledge, they do include that there will be overtime for the police,
Yes.
no matter what. This just kills it,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And so just make sure that that's in there
Yeah.
because people will then say, well, you said there was going to be no overtime. There'll be overtime no matter what. Chief said it, but
Right.
hopefully it's decreased a lot from what, I don't even remember what the numbers were a couple of years ago, but
I think it was like 6 million in overtime or something.
I don't remember exactly.
Well, the catch-22 with the police is because they don't do the civil service anymore, they can leave without giving warning.
Yeah.
So if they get burnt out,
which they will.
Right.
they'll just
Which they will. It's a problem in other
And that
police
was-
departments, of people having forced overtime.
I think that already happened
Yeah.
to us.
In 2009,
Yeah, it's definitely,
10,
it's a-
11, 12.
for the police specifically, it's a problem that we have been working for the entire time I've been on this committee to try to resolve, which we have recently gotten in the best place that we've
With
been
those-
in decades.
With the 6 officers, yes.
And losing the work that we've done would be very
Well,
difficult.
and you're giving that money. What burns me every time is we're training these officers. Now that they're coming here, we're training them again. And then we're letting them go. So all the money that we spent in training them, because we have to send them to the academy, it's an investment that you make. And then we're going to give that investment 6 times over to Whitman or Rockland or the state police or wherever, because they don't now have to pay these officers have already been through the academy, so they don't have to pay that cost. We are like,
We're the farm system.
we are,
Yeah.
exactly.
So not because of the point that she's saying there, but I asked this before and the answer was no, I think because they were civil service, but can we, when we hire somebody, make sure that they are signing a certain year-long,
Like a lateral, oh,
whatever, in my industry,
Like
it's,
a- like a contract.
yeah, like you can't go to another place within this many, because we're taking the time and training you and doing whatever. Do you know if we can do that now? Because I was told we couldn't do it before.
I don't think you can, but I'm not certain, I'm not a lawyer, but I can ask labor counsel.
that would have to be like bargained, right?
It would have to be bargained, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
And it would
that's a-
cost us money.
I do think that is a fair bargaining tool if we're paying, and do you know what I mean? Like, no matter what. Like, if we're hiring somebody, if they're here for 6 months or 8 months or whatever.
I know, but what guarantee are you making to them? We just hired them.
Well, wait-
We're the ones letting them go. They're not trying to leave.
I would argue a little bit that being in the union is pretty close to being a guarantee. I don't remember the last time, other than when we had very negative years, that we're firing people. People definitely leave. I get that. They
Right,
left
but I'm
it.
saying like if
I just think
This
there
isn't
needs to be
to-
a little bit of a, because if we're putting the money in as a town to pay for something and then losing it, and we continue to do that, I don't know if the answer is just we have to pay people more money.
no, but we're not losing it because they're choosing to leave. We're losing it because we keep letting them go. We
What do you
keep
mean?
firing them. We train
I'm
them,
not talking
then-
about if we fire them. If we fire them, I think non-competes are null and void.
I know, but so
That's what we're
Especially
talking
police
about,
officers.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were talking.
I'm talking
about
if
if they
they
have to
leave.
do a lot of overtime
right,
and
but
then they.
If they leave,
yeah. Well,
That's the
we're
only-
not having that problem anymore
I know. I'm just saying while we're not having that problem, we might want to see if we can get that
Right.
on the books.
because we will have that problem.
That's the time. I'm just saying that's the time to do it. It's not the time to do it when you're having the problem.
Correct.
All right, that's it for me. So.
Ditto.
All right. Last call.
Good first.
Any other motions?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. Any discussion? Without any, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. We are adjourned. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much.